Okay.
Oh,
And you all have to like, okay that, I think.
Oh, touch it?
Yeah, like say it's all right,
I touched it.
or I got it, or something like that.
Got it.
There you go. I know Judy said she'll be here.
Linda's away.
Linda's in the Netherlands, and who else was going to be away today? Oh, Susan Parson is going to be at her son's college. Aaron designed the lighting for the play that's going on.
Wow.
Fun.
She went to the play.
What college is he at?
I think she said Quinnipiac.
Okay.
And I thought somebody else today maybe said they wouldn't be there. I think Marion said she would be. There's Ann Bain coming in.
How about
There's
the
Judy.
lessons?
Joanne's
Joanne?
coming in now. Probably John with her.
Barb Hardcastle?
I
Hello.
haven't heard from her.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes,
are you gonna be live streaming the Tenebrae service? Is that a yes?
that's a yes.
Thank you. It's my favorite service that you do outside of Christmas.
That's one of my favorites too.
Debbie
My
Grant,
today status was for you guys today. Every day during Lent, I do a status that starts for today,
Oh, okay.
and then it's something, and today's was for you guys.
Okay, I haven't read yours yet today. We've been just taking it easy and
thank you.
watching HGTV, but we'll check it out later.
Hi, Joanne. Hi, John.
Hi,
Hi, Joanne. Hi, John.
hello. Hi. Okay,
Sounds muffly. Somebody does. Jeff, does everybody have to press got it for the recording?
I would guess so. Marion Alden just came in.
Hi, Marion.
Marion,
Oh,
everyone
hi there.
loved the donuts.
hi, Marion.
It was just,
Sorry, hello.
now she can hear you.
Marion, everyone loved the donuts.
That's wonderful. Thank Amy. She's the one who recommended them.
Where did
So-
you get those? They were gorgeous. I only saw the pictures, but good Lord.
Believe it, ShopRite at the bakery.
No way.
Right,
Really?
They're
Wow.
big there.
Hi, Barbara.
Hi, Barbara.
Barbara.
It looked like the good old days in the fellowship hall
Yeah. it
and
really
in
did.
church.
It's good. Judy, thank you for all the decorations.
Oh, it was fun.
I loved your boots.
I did. Too.
That's adorable.
It was. It was great fun. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you.
Those were the days, huh, Barbara?
Yeah, we used to have fun
There
decorating.
was one little furry rabbit.
What's
What's
that?
that?
You said there was one little something?
rabbit. It was a little rabbit.
I'm not hearing, I'm not hearing Joanne.
I don't care, Julie.
Me either.
She's kind of garbled.
How was
Oh, yeah.
Marathon, Barb?
I'm sorry?
Did you go to Marathon?
Yeah,
How was it?
it's nice. It's kind of crowded. But Ernie wanted to go fishing and it's just good fishing down there. So, we did that. And I mean, we stayed at a great place and it was right on the water. So it was beautiful. But it's, we've been to like Isla Mirada and up a little further north and it's much nicer, I think.
Okay,
So-
good to know.
This marathon is right before the 7 Mile Bridge. And then you're in Key West in an hour.
Mm.
So,
Nice.
Good.
yeah, it was nice.
Okay, are you ready to travel?
We are.
Okay, here we go. This is the last one in the last couple of days. Let me start sharing my screen here. Let's figure out what it is. And it's that one. And here we go. Okay, do you see a view out the bus window?
Yep.
Okay, it was, I guess, the 9th. Let me see. I'm not sure what day. I guess it was the 9th that we finished seeing the Israel Museum. And then after that, we got on a bus and we headed north. So it was how long would you say it was driving up to Nazareth? About 2 hours, about a 2-hour bus ride from down in Jerusalem up to Nazareth, which is where Jesus grew up, and had dinner. And the next day, it was pretty overcast. You can see a lot of the clouds up top. And we went out to the Sea of Galilee. So let me just show you, we're driving up there. And here's the Sea of Galilee. It's up north, and you can see all the different things that Jesus did around the Sea of Galilee. So we came up from the south and we came to Magdala. And that's when it really dawned on me that Mary Magdalene Magdalene isn't her last name. It's like Jesus of Nazareth, Mary of Magdala. She's a Magdalene. So we met our tour guide in Magdala, and then we drove around the coast up to different spots up here where you get to see all the different things that Jesus did around the seashore. Most of it over here on the western edge of it. So the first place we went to was to the Church of the Beatitudes. And it's not on the Mount. Fortunately, this is not one of the places where they actually put a church right on top of where something happened. This is down at the bottom of the hill, down close to the Sea of Galilee, and up on one of the mounts. And we'll see in a little while out the window of the bus where I think it happened. But she said she was gonna point it out to us, and then she never got around to pointing it out. But I think I know where the spot was. But this is to commemorate the Beatitudes that Jesus gave. So we went into the church here, and it's not real big, more like a little chapel. You can see some of the benches around the sides, and it's an 8-sided room for each of the 8 Beatitudes. So you can read them up top here. They're written in Latin. So this was built before Vatican II, when they stopped using Latin as much. And when you go into a chapel or a church, one of the best things to do is to look up, and you see this beautiful golden dome up above, just a very beautiful little chapel. And we sang a little bit in there, and it resonated, and it was beautiful. And let me see if I can play a little video for you. Hang on a sec. Let me stop sharing the other one and see if I can share this one. And I don't know if do you get video? Excuse me. When I show a video, do you get audio as well?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So listen to the tour guide. This is Hrada, who is going to be singing as we're sitting around this chapel, and the acoustics were just magnificent. So let me share that. Okay, here we go. And this is it. Let me take it back to the beginning. and play it for you. I'll let it run through twice so you can kind of hear the acoustics. That's one time. I'm going to let it go again. What'd you think? Were you able-
Beautiful.
That's chilling when you hear it like that.
Oh, my glory.
That was something.
I remember when we went to Italy for the children's chorus, and the chorus sang in these small churches, and the acoustics, I mean, it was just unbelievable. So I can imagine, just being in there,
Yeah,
same thing.
just resonated all around us.
Mm.
What was she singing, Joe?
It sounded like a version of the doxology, didn't it?
It was a doxology.
It was, Kay says it was doxology in Latin. She is our guide, Frada, was Greek Catholic, not Greek Orthodox, but Greek Catholic. So let me go back to sharing this screen here. And now you get a sense of where this dome was in that space. This is going outside around, remember I said it's 8-sided, so it's basically kind of circular. And there was this little walkway around the outside of it. And this is looking out, and you can see down in here some of the Sea of Galilee. We'll get a little better view here in a second. This is again looking out off of the outside porch that runs all the way around it, out to the Sea of Galilee. You can see how close we are and the hills behind it.
Jeff,
Yes.
are you going around the Sea of Galilee?
At this point, no. We're going to go up and down a little bit of the western edge of it. And I'm going to keep coming back to that map that I put up a minute ago. I've put it up like 3 or 4 times, and I can point out where things happen.
So is this something that can be done, going around it? Or does it
I
take a
imagine
while?
you could go all the way around it and see all the things. We only had one day here at the Sea of Galilee, and we saw like 4 different places, which you'll see here in a minute, but we didn't go all the way around it.
Wow.
But we did go out on it. So this is inside the chapel, and you can look up and see the different Beatitudes written up on the upper wall up there. And then this is one of the little alcoves where Jesus is sitting on the mount teaching his disciples the 8 Beatitudes. This is the backside of it. Right now, my back would be to the Sea of Galilee, and we're looking at the back of the chapel.
It's really a pretty building.
Yeah, it's run by
It's amazing.
Franciscan nuns.
It's amazing long ago how the architecture or engineering of the acoustics even play into this, that they knew how to make that happen with these castles and these cathedrals, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It was better than singing in the bathroom.
I would hope so.
Yeah. Although I sound good.
This is down a little farther towards the Sea of Galilee. Not a whole lot. Right now, we're looking at the Sea of Galilee. The church is right behind me, and I'm looking out at the sea. And you can get a sense of how big it is. You can see a town over here on the shore. So when you think that, you know, Jesus got in the boat and he went across the Sea of Galilee to another town, you can see how close it might be. Bit of a ride on a boat.
Is that fresh water or salt?
It's fresh.
Fresh.
The Jordan River comes into the north of it, from the north of it into it, and then out of the south of it, the Jordan River goes south all the way down to the Dead Sea.
Oh, okay.
And then
So-
on the grounds, go ahead.
What was the sea that, what was the water that you were with floating last?
The Dead Sea.
The Dead Sea.
Yeah, that's a much larger body of water and 450 feet below sea level, and nothing at all can live in it.
I always thought that the ocean being salty and then the sea was different, that, but that's still salty? What is,
This one isn't. The Sea of Galilee is really more like a big lake.
Huh.
It would be maybe not the size of one of our Great Lakes, probably not that big, but they're fresh water. And the Sea of Galilee is fresh water, but the Dead Sea is very salty. So around the grounds are the different Beatitudes. Blessed are they who are persecuted. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the merciful. Blessed are they who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are they who will mourn. Blessed are the poor in spirit. And then this is the one that I found pretty interesting. And I think I told this during my sermon, that this is off a little by itself. It says, let anyone who thirsts come to me and drink. Whoever believes in me, as scripture says, rivers of living water flow from within him. And right next to it is a little fountain. And it says, you know, whoever thirsts, come to me and drink. And then right over here is a sign that says, basically, do not drink the water. So drink of Jesus, but not of this fountain. Okay, so this on the Sea of Galilee, remember we came up from the south and we came to Magdala and we drove up to this church up here. This is where we're looking at, the church up here that is of the Beatitudes. Now Jesus up here on one of these hills is probably where he gave that. So we're going to go a little bit further up to Capernaum, which is up here. And Capernaum is a larger town, and it's where Jesus probably had his headquarters. And as we're driving up there, I think this is the hill that's above the Church of the Beatitudes, where Jesus gave his sermon up there. But I can't be 100% certain. And if somebody else said this is where it was, they can't be 100% certain. So we went up to the town of Capernaum, and by this time it was pouring rain. It was just pouring rain. So we ran
We'll call back.
the bus across a parking lot, through this gate, way down past this to an area that was a little bit of an
We're
amphitheater,
busy with the church.
and it was covered by a large tarp. So we were able to sit under that, and Harada was able to teach us some. This is the tarp. You can see some of it hanging down here, and most of it was over us. This is a bad picture because there's a kind of a piece that somehow got inverted. I don't know how that happened, but you get a sense that this is the Sea of Galilee. And we're looking out, you see a little, some stonework over here, and there's a cross on a table right next to it. And so we're under there trying to stay dry and warm. And that's when we were all sitting on these benches, and there's Kay and I, and down here, this cat came up and hopped on my lap and stayed dry and warm. And I just petted it the whole time for how long were we there? About 15 minutes. She was teaching us stuff and telling us things about it and about the Sea of Galilee. And this cat just sat there comfortably on my lap the whole time.
Kay's loving that right now.
So I went down to the edge of that little amphitheater, and I took a panoramic view of the Sea of Galilee.
That's fabulous.
Mhm.
You can see where there's kind of a break in the clouds up top, but some of it's dark over here. It was one of those days where it got windy, it was rainy, the sun started to come out, it got overcast again, it sprinkled a little bit, it cleared up.
It's like Sussex County.
What? Can you see it okay? Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
It was like it was here on Saturday. I think 3 different times it rained and the sun came.
Huh? You're not in my way or anything.
We got that today with snow and sun and
Yeah, it's a little bit like Sussex County. It was a little wet and a little cool, damp, and not a great day, but really interesting to be on the Sea of Galilee when you think about Jesus out there on the water, calming the waves. Another time when he's on the boat and he's falling asleep, and everybody, the storm is coming up and everybody's starting to panic in the boat, and Jesus wakes up and stills the storm.
is this where he went fishing? The fisherman story?
Yes, from just a little to the east of this is probably either the east or the west of this. This is where Jesus would have called the disciples, many of them who were fishermen, Peter, John, Andrew, the sons of thunder. Here the 2 of us are standing in front of it. And I like this picture again. You see this glow around Kay. You notice there's no glow around me.
She definitely has the aura around her.
It does. And there's another picture where she has her eyes closed, and I'm glad they took 2, but the aura is around that one as well. So I don't understand it, but it glows. This is going right down by the water side and looking at the sea and the shoreline and getting a sense. You can see the clouds up top, and just it was just so moving to be there, where you know that Jesus did so much of his ministry.
Mhm.
Where was the parting of the sea? Or no, that was Moses.
That was Moses way up at the Red Sea, the Reed Sea up near.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This is out of order, so I'll come back to that one. This is just above that area where we were sitting. We went uphill a little bit, and these are pieces from a synagogue that they have unearthed, and they've just got set out to be shown at the moment, but they are also recreating the synagogue just to the right of this. So we'll see it in a minute. And they're sure that it's a synagogue because if you look closely,
Star David.
you can see the Star of David there.
Mhm.
And on the other pieces, you'll see other things. These are a couple other pieces, and you can see where they've been digging. But on this one, you see the menorah up top.
Mhm.
And this right here is a shofar or a horn that they used in calling people to worship.
Right.
So they're fairly certain that this is from a Jewish synagogue. Again, there's the Star of David on another piece.
Isn't that amazing that they are still finding things?
Yeah.
So these were just
These are
brought up?
this little synagogue had been torn down, probably by Romans or some other conquering group that had come through here, tore it down, and it was covered up with dirt over centuries and centuries, and they've dug up different pieces. They think,
I just realized it's pillars and a building.
right, they believe this is a depiction of the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh,
Covenant, you remember, after Moses parted the Red Sea,
Wheels.
they made it out into the wilderness away from the Egyptians. One of the first things that happened was Moses went up the mountain and got the 10 Commandments. Well, when he brought them down, they put them in this ark. They put them in this very large, it's not a building, but it's large. And you can see the size of wheels underneath it. And for 40 years, they wandered in the wilderness. And so they took the Ark of the Covenant with them. They took the 10 Commandments with them. So it had to be on wheels. So they put it in this contraption here with wheels and pulled it around the wilderness for 40 years.
how
Well,
big was that piece?
Now, this isn't it. This is a depiction of it. This is a fairly large, that's probably about 4 or 5 feet tall of stone
Mhm.
that they had carved.
Wow.
Actually, the 10 Commandments was on last night, so I watched that.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That would have been something more like a sarcophagus that you see in the museums, I would think.
Yeah, almost like that.
Yeah.
This is nearby, and it's a grinding wheel that they probably would have had a pole sticking out of this to a donkey or something else that would have gone around the circle, and they would have put their wheat or any kind of grain in here and ground it up to get the wheat and the flax separated.
wow.
It says it was the early version of a Cuisinart. Now, this is the synagogue that they are recreating. So they're very slowly doing it, and you can see they're having to support it and make sure it stays together, but they're starting to put it back together.
That's very cool.
Again, there's a piece in the middle that somehow got flipped, but you still see some of the size of it. Where we just were was over here on the left beyond this wall where all the pieces are, and they're slowly putting it back together. So this is up the hill from where we were sitting in that little amphitheater, and between this synagogue and that amphitheater is, this is what they think the synagogue of Capernaum looked like. But between there and the place that we were sitting in the rain is this building. And they've built this over top of a house that they have uncovered. And you'll see it down below here. You can see the walls and the floor. And there was that picture earlier that I said that was out of order. But it's a house, and it's just below the synagogue, and they are calling it Peter's house. And why would they call it Peter's house? It's because on the wall in this house are written both the names Peter and Jesus. So they think maybe this was Peter's house, very close to a synagogue. Jesus often would have stayed here in Peter's house. As you recall from scripture, it says that Peter had a mother-in-law, which means that he was married. So he lived here. He would have worked right down at the Sea of Galilee. He would have gone to his church or his synagogue right up above this. Jesus probably stayed with him. Jesus probably taught in that synagogue that they're recreating. So this is like right where it all happened.
So that's like a glass dome that's over it?
Yes, it's just plexiglass over top of it because it's down below that they've unearthed. This is just one of the pillars around the outside of that building, and it depicts Jesus and the friend that was lowered down through the roof
Oh,
by
yeah.
his friends. You can see the ropes lowering it down, and then the friends who were helping lower it down right into the midst of a crowd in a small house that Jesus was teaching in so that Jesus could heal him. So they put this little carving into one of the pillars.
Jeff, I have a feeling that Capernaum wasn't just a village. It looks like it was a pretty big town. Do they have any idea how big it was during Jesus's day?
Not that I heard, but I think you're right. I think it must have been a sizable place. It wasn't just like a little village somewhere, but it was a town. And you would have needed to have a good number of people to be able to support a synagogue. So this is out of the back, looking out the back off of the porch of that building, across some of the ruins that are there and other houses that would have been a part of this town, to a church over across the way. We're going to drive from our parking lot off to the left and to a road that cuts across and then comes back down to you can't drive straight to it. You have to kind of go up and across and down. And we're going
So
to
all this, the stonework is like houses that were?
yes.
Wow.
Have they carbon dated the synagogue?
Have they what?
Carbon dated?
Carbon dated? Not that I know of. Not that I heard. Maybe they have, but I didn't hear that.
What is that?
Okay, let's go take a look at it. This is the Church of the Disciples. It's a church made by the Greeks who commemorate the 12 disciples. So they found some land. It's not on anything in particular. It's just to commemorate the 12 disciples. And we're going to go inside and take a look at it. It's like a Sunday school coloring book on the inside. But before we get down there, we're going to look up in the trees, and there are birds. These are peacocks sitting up in the tree.
Huge.
Wow, I've never seen them up in trees.
There's his head and there's his legs, and you can see how far down his feathers hang.
Yeah.
Anytime I go to a zoo and see a peacock, I'd crow like it and I make him do that.
There you go.
I
Well,
do.
This one was walking by, and every now and then he'd kind of put his
Oh!
feathers up, and just interesting to see on our way down to the Church of the 12 Disciples. Let's
Wow.
go on down there. This is it close up, and look at how many domes there are. Just in this picture, I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 12 domes. There's a dome for each of the 12 disciples up on the roof.
Now, when would you say this was built? It doesn't look old, so.
Yeah, it looks fairly new. I imagine it was made by the Greeks probably within the last 100 years, maybe, probably not much longer than that, within the past 100. It's a lot of things in Israel are new. Israel was not a nation until 1948. And since then, and they really didn't take possession of all of the land until 1967. And since then, they've been excavating, and people have been coming in and building and doing things and making it even more touristy. We'll see this doorway on the way out. But if you go inside, again, beautiful work. The Greeks really know how to decorate.
Wow.
You can look up here, and here's Jesus in the middle, and here are his 12 disciples around him, and Jesus is up here in the middle, and the 12 disciples are around him. And it was described to us why there are so many paintings and pictures on the wall is that back before there were Sunday school books and things like that, you could come into this building and really get an education about Jesus and his 12 disciples by just looking at all the murals on the wall. Here's one on the wall. This is Jesus.
Is this a working church?
Well, none of them are working in that they would have like a regular, 10 o'clock Sunday morning service, but this is kept up by the Greeks. They would have groups in here. They would probably have special services in here, but it wouldn't be a regular Sunday at 10 kind of church.
So to me, it reminds me of the Catholic, doing the Stations of the Cross artwork to get the story. But does the stained glass, is that where stained glass came from to making stories, or no?
I'm sure people use stained glass for symbolic things. Ours are not all that symbolic. We have a couple of words here and there on ours, and a few pictures of the dove and things like that. This one, the stained glass, isn't very symbolic. It's the drawings on the wall. These are not mosaics, these are paintings. This one is of Jesus, and you'll notice Jesus always has a gold circle behind his head. So in
Halo.
And you should-
Halo, kind of like Kay.
Yeah, just like, okay.
yeah, Jesus
Yeah, that's right.
he's very consistent. He wears red with a blue cloak over it, and you'll see that Mary wears a blue outfit with a red cloak over it. And Jesus always has a gold or a circle behind his head. So here he is calling the disciples. And here he is over here dealing with a poor person. And over here he is healing somebody on their bed. And it's just all around, you know, it's not one picture of one scene. It's a scene here and a scene here. And you can always tell there's Jesus with the gold around his head.
That was to identify him.
Yeah.
Right?
And here he is. Here are two different scenes of Jesus in one boat. So here he is stilling the storm. Here he is sleeping in the back of the boat.
You multitask.
He multitasks, Kay says.
Yeah.
So these are just, this is Jesus dealing with the rich young ruler, where he said, you know, you've followed all the laws, now just sell everything and come follow me. And the guy's like, nope, I'm taking off. So stories from the Bible of Jesus with the disciples are all around this. This is a picture of Jesus on the wall. Again, the circle behind his head, wearing red with a blue cloak over top. This is a picture of Mary wearing blue with a red cloak over top and a circle behind her head. And that must be Jesus, because he's wearing blue and red and he's got a gold circle around his head. This is a prayer wall that was interesting, where people come and pray and ask for what they want from Mary. So they, you know, Mary, I want, and then they will often bring small tokens of what they want. So on all these different beads and things that are hung here, if you look at this one right here, it's kind of hard to tell, but it's a house. So somebody is praying and leaving that there saying, Mary, can you help me get a house? And down below, you don't see it, but there's a little plastic car and somebody's saying, please, Mary, help me get an automobile. So these are all prayer beads hung with prayers attached for what they want.
So is this a denomination?
These are Greek Orthodox.
All right, and so then there's the other two that we, in the beginning of your lesson, was the Jerusalem, Jews. And
We've got all kinds of different denominations here in the Holy Land. The Catholics, like I said, that Church of the Beatitudes was run by Franciscan nuns. This is run by Greek Orthodox. Our tour guide is Greek Catholic. This is a Jewish area. There are Palestinians living in the area, Coptic, Syrian, all kinds of different denominations.
And they don't waver of the look of the paintings of Jesus with the halo and the blue.
The Greeks are very consistent in how they do it. This is the doorway. Remember I said we'll see the doorway as we leave. Right above it, 12 disciples. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
They all have halos.
Yeah. So we started here at the Church of the Beatitudes. We went up a little bit further up here to Capernaum to see the synagogue and see the Sea of Galilee, looking out at the Sea of Galilee. We went a little bit further than that. It doesn't show because it's not one of Jesus' ministries, but the Church of the Disciples is right in here. Now we're going to start heading back down this way. And I believe we come here to Tabgha. I always want to say Tagba, but it's Tabgha. You can see it how it's spelled. It's a Benedictine cloister run by the Benedictines. Tabgha is the place that Jesus fed the multitude, where he did what some call the miracle of the multiplication, where he took loaves and fishes and fed the crowd. So we're a little bit farther back, headed back east along the Sea of Galilee. But this shows some of the other things that Jesus did there around the Sea of Galilee. Calling of the first apostles, Sermon on the Mount, healing of the person who had a hemorrhage, healing of the leper, miracle of the multiplication, which is the feeding of the multitude, Jesus preaching and healing in Capernaum. So you can see a lot of things that Jesus did happen right here around the Sea of Galilee. Now, I don't have a whole lot from Tabgha. This is, again, not the exact spot where he did it, but this church commemorates it. Kind of plain on the inside, but the floor is very interesting. Look how intricate that is. And those are not tiles, those are little pieces.
Pieces, mosaic.
Is south of Capernaum?
Joanne, it's really hard to understand you for some reason tonight. It sounds like,
Well,
there you go.
is Tabgha south of Capernaum?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
We were up here at Capernaum and we came back down about a quarter, maybe not a quarter of the way, but about 20% of the way back towards Magdala, down to an area here if the sea is this big.
My goodness, that must have taken years to do.
Look at that. Look at how much there is.
Wow.
And then this is another, you can see the tile here, but that it then turns into pictures.
Wow.
I'm not sure what this is over here, but just very interesting flooring. Okay, so now we've gone.
You had me at the French fries.
Fish and chips, right? So we went back to Magdala and went to a restaurant there, and we had Peter's fish.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard the story, and I've been, around the Bible for all my life, but I'd never heard the story. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it's there. Jesus at one point is teaching, and some official comes up to Peter and says, "Hey, does your master pay taxes?" And so Peter goes to Jesus and says, "Hey, do we have to pay taxes?" And Jesus says, "Yes. So I want you to go down to the shore, Peter, and cast your hook out into the water." And that's the only time a hook is ever mentioned, because Peter normally fished with nets. But he says, cast your hook into the water and pull out the first fish you get and cut it open, and inside is a coin, and use that coin to pay our taxes. And so Peter goes, catches a fish, cuts it open, and finds a coin in it and pays their taxes. I'd never heard that story before. Had any of you?
No.
Peter's fish. Well, this is my plate of fish. I got the regular kind. Kay got the fillet that had been the head taken off and dipped in batter and made into a nice fish and chips lunch. I went for the authentic piece. You're only there. But the person sitting to my left got this one.
And he got the coin.
Oh, look at the coin right there.
She
Yeah.
got the coin. So they put a coin in a few of the fish's mouth, and it's supposed to be good luck if you get it.
Not for the fish.
Except for the fish, Kay says. Okay, so now we're going over to this center where we're going to take a ride on the Sea of Galilee. And you see right here, it says the ancient Galilee boat. I don't know if you can read that. It's a little fuzzy. The ancient Galilee boat. It's a little visitor center and bathrooms. And then they have a little display in here that talks about the mystery of the 2,000-year-old boat. And Joanne, I would say, yes, they have carbon dated this one. You'll see what I mean. That's why they can claim that it's 2,000 years old. Now, is this the boat that Jesus was in? Who knows? But it does go back to his era. This is what
Wow.
remains of the boat. So they've got it. You can't reach over and touch it, but they've got it sitting on this frame that supports it. And they've got just a little bit of a boat. And it's large enough that it would have taken 2 people to be able to use it. It's not like a little tiny boat. It was fairly large. But coming out of the back of that building, which is right on the Sea of Galilee, we're going to walk to the right over this way, over to this causeway, and walk out here and get on the boat and take a ride on the Sea of Galilee. So here we are on, this is the very front of the boat. And of course I had to do the Titanic thing where I stood on the front, put my arms out. I feel like I'm flying.
That,
For the 2 of us on the boat.
4K.
There she is over there waving to us, and you can see some of the people, and there's the captain back here steering the boat.
Look at how empty the boat is though. Like there was a huge open space with lots of chairs, because usually you couldn't even see the floor of the boat, but they just didn't have enough visitors. So
Over here and over here, you see stacked chairs. We line the benches, but like Kay says, they usually fill the middle of this boat with chairs because they have so many tourists that want to take a ride at one time.
they
But
did the horror.
we're getting to that.
Oh, okay.
But there are so few of us that they were able to just take our group out, which was nice.
really nice, really nice.
Here we are out on the Sea of Galilee, just looking out, and you can see a town up here, and a little bit, it goes all the way up to the top. This is, again, from not the very front of the boat. This is the area where it goes up, and then it goes to a triangular point up beyond this. This is us looking, and they have a table back here with things that you can buy. So it's a touristy thing, but it's also, you're on a boat in the Sea of Galilee.
So the fish that you ate, was that from that sea?
Harada told us that they typically have to serve about 3 million people a year, the Peter fish. And this little sea is not able to produce that much fish. So no, it probably was not from the Sea of Galilee.
And that's the only thing they get out of this sea? There's no like porpoises or anything?
No, it's a freshwater, but it's basically a large lake. Don't think of it as a sea. Think of it as a large lake.
Okay, okay.
You can see how large it is, and the hills in the distance. And when Jesus would go up to the top of one of them for the transfiguration, they had to climb the mountain and leave everybody down below. Again, you can see that it was a half and half day. Sometimes it was sunny, sometimes it was stormy, but you know, here we are out in the middle of the Sea of Galilee, where Jesus would have ridden many times. Another picture. I'm going to show you a little bit of a video. So let me, okay, we're getting there. Let's see. Now let me see if I can share it.
Now you know the artist pictures of what we see in the Bible or whatever, at the scenery of
Yeah.
how it was.
How big is this sea, would you say? You said it was like the size of one of the smaller than the Great Lakes.
Smaller than Erie. Erie's the smallest one, isn't it? I'm not sure, but I
Did
think.
they
Yeah.
say how many miles across it is, or?
No, they didn't say, but you can get a sense. We're kind of out in the middle of it, and you can see how far it is. Let me close that and go back to sharing. Now, we've been talking about all the things that happened back then, but there was something that came up that really brought us back to the present. And you'll see in a second. Let me share this screen.
So I just looked it up. It says that in area, it's 64 miles. The length is 13 miles.
Oh, wow.
And they say it's approximately 53 kilometers or 33 miles in circumference,
Okay.
13 miles long, 8 miles wide,
Wow.
So-
Okay.
and
Wow.
43
tells us.
meters deep. So
But as we're going along, we look out off of the boat, and here's what we see.
Ah,
Guy windsurfing on a paddle board with the hills behind him. So it wasn't all ancient times. We had a little bit of modern thrown in as well.
it brings you back to reality.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to the last day, and we've got to do this in about just over 10 minutes. What was the question?
It's probably not a polite one, but how close were you to the Golan Heights, which is the contested area, which wars have been fought over?
The other side of the Sea of Galilee is Jordan. And I imagine the
Yeah.
Golan Heights were a part of that. So
Yeah.
we never went close to the other side. We just stayed on the Jewish side. And so if it's 4 miles wide, we might have been 2 miles away if we went in
Okay.
the middle.
Yeah, it's now part of Jordan, but it had been part of Israel,
Gotcha.
the Golan Heights.
The next day, we went to 3 places. So I'm going to show them to you pretty quickly here. The first was interesting, but it didn't have anything really to do with Jesus. This is more modern day. This is a school that was founded by this guy who's now an archbishop in the Greek Catholic Church. And he founded a school for peace. And in his school, he allows anybody to attend, Jewish, Palestinian, or there's another one, the Druze, which are not fully Jewish, but they live in that area as well. And they're all allowed to have school and classes together. He sat and talked with us and shared how he basically got the school started from scratch. He raised the money. At one point, he wanted to get money from the United States. So he came over and just cold called on the Secretary of State, James Baker at the time, who happened not to be home, but his wife was. And she invited him in to hear his story. And she said, well, excuse me, I now have to go lead my Bible study. And we're talking about the Beatitudes. And he said, well, if you would like me to help out. And she said, sure. And he went in and taught the class. And she was so impressed that she talked to her husband, who then came over to the Middle East and made sure that things happened so that his school could expand and be built.
Wow, great story.
This is his church, and we're going to get a little closer. But if you look at it with a little bit of imagination, you can almost
it's a boat.
that it looks like Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys were picking up on it even before I said it. And look at these steps here. You're going to see some writing when we get closer. They've got the Beatitudes written on them in different languages as you go up the steps. We're going to get up to the door up here and take a look at this door. And here is Jesus teaching the children of the world. You'll see that there are children of all different races and different areas around the earth. You see an Indian child and Chinese and Middle Eastern and from Russia and from America. Jesus is teaching all the children. And his contention is that people learn racism and hate for other people as we grow up. But when we're children, we all are just children together. And so that's what the school is based on. This is a panoramic view. It's not wide like this, it's actually square, but that's how the picture takes it. And you can see each of these is a picture of one of the Beatitudes along the wall. So again, Beatitudes are very important in the Greek Catholic Church. Again, look up There's Jesus on the ceiling. He's Greek, so he's got the gold behind his head, the gold circle behind his head, and that's on the ceiling. And they even have a stained glass. It's not very prominent. It's off on the side, but I noticed that the people of the school have had a stained glass window made of the Archbishop, which I thought was pretty nice.
Yeah.
Are they just, who are the people that go to the school? Are they from other countries or are they there for
They're people who live around there.
local people? Oh.
Yes. And the Israelis are not very in favor of this school. And I believe they said at the moment, there aren't any Israeli children attending the school. They've all been kind of taken out, but they're hoping to get them back in along with the Palestinians and the Druze and anybody else who wants to go to school there.
That sounds to me like ecumenical. He was trying for an ecumenical.
Yes, very, very much. Okay, I've got
Except for
another
the Jews.
little video to play for you, if I can find it. Okay, let me stop sharing this one. We're going to take a walk up to Harada's, our tour guide's shop. Not only does she do tour guiding, but she also has a little shop where she serves lunch and sells items of local, from local artisans. So we're going to take a walk up through the bazaar, and this will just give you a sense of what it's like in Israel, in different places where there are these bazaars, like there was in Jerusalem. So let me share this and find the video and share it. Okay, let's say it's kind of a rainy day, and some of this street is covered by the proprietors' roofs that stick out, but a lot of it isn't, so it's kind of wet. But here we go, walking up through the bazaar.
Did you feel like you wanted to buy a souvenir from every place that you went to?
Yeah, because they've had so few visitors, so few tourists, that they're all starving for business. And you just want to give all of them money and say, please continue and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You can see on the right, there's clothes just hung on the wall there. Looking to the left into the clothes shop, and you see the clothes on the right.
If you stop, you're going to get,
Corralled.
yes.
Nagged.
So we're getting close to Harada's place. So let me stop that and stop sharing that. We'll go back to our pictures and share that.
Did you ever find the other Christmas ornament?
Yes,
You did? Oh,
we
yeah.
found an extra one.
Oh, good.
Okay, this is Harada's shop, and here we are sitting in here having lunch. This was Kay and my table back here. You can't really see Kay, she's behind this gentleman with the white hair. But these are items that she has for sale, all from local artisans, and then a table where she serves a lunch. And you'll see our lunch here. It's mostly rice. It's got some hamburger on top. It's not rice, it's pre-wheat. It's very early plucked wheat that has been ground up and made into this. It's almost like a ricey concoction. But if you think about it, it's hamburger and early wheat. It's kind of like their version of a hamburger.
With almonds.
It's got some peanuts on it. You can see we have salad going, and that's how
Was it good?
It was very good, wasn't it? Yeah, we both liked it. It's interesting trying different things in different places.
Very fresh.
Yeah.
So then we come back down, about halfway back down through the bazaar, and we get to Mary's church. They believe that this is Mary's church because they found a building that they think is Mary's house. And so, of course, what do? You build a church on top of it. This is the one where they asked, the Catholics asked, this is run by the Catholics, they asked churches in all the different countries around the world if each country would send them a depiction of Mary. And so you see these pictures. This one is a picture of Mary from Bolivia, and here's one from Andorra. And the ones that are outside on these walls outside were not big enough or nice enough, I'm not sure what their criteria was, to make it inside. There are a lot more on the inside, but look at all the ones on the outside. There's from Ireland, Armenia, Egypt, Singapore, and I can't quite read that one over there, but look at all the different artwork that was sent from all over the world. There's from El Salvador and Wales, and on down the wall we go, looking at different pieces of art depicting Mary from Mary's church. There's from Germany.
Where are we on the map on this?
We're back now in Nazareth. We have left the Sea of Galilee,
Okay.
and this was our home base for these 3 days. We're in Nazareth, which is southwest of the Sea of Galilee. And this is Jesus' hometown, Jesus of Nazareth. So this is where Jesus lived, and they found what they believe is Mary's house. So this could have been right around where Jesus grew up. I thought this one was particularly poignant because it's from Ukraine, and we hope that they will be able to make it through this war. This is on the door going into that church. Different pictures of Jesus from birth. It goes this way, down and across and back up. It's from his birth to all the way to his death. This is the house of Mary down in the basement. And it's not really, I guess it's a basement. It's a 2-story church. You walk in and go down some steps to this level, and this is where Mary's house is. And we'll see a few more pictures of that from different angles. And then us walking past it, looking in. And Harada's sister has done archaeological study, and her thesis, her doctoral thesis, was that Mary's house is actually across the street from this. So who knows? But we go upstairs and we look up to the dome. This is alongside, this actually is looking up to the dome from the basement. This is some more of around Mary's house. Then you go upstairs, and this is the main sanctuary. You can look forward and see this scene here. This is a little washed out, but this is more of what you're looking at when you come into the sanctuary. In the alcoves, there are pictures of Jesus, and even the Catholics put gold circles behind his head and behind Mary's head.
What denomination is this?
This is Catholic. Excuse me, this is Greek Catholic. So not just Catholic, but Greek Catholic.
Greek Catholic.
So this, I think, is Joseph, and that's Mary, and there's the baby Jesus. Okay, well, we started a couple minutes late. Are you guys okay? We're almost done. We've only got about 10 more slides to go.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, this is inside. These are some of the pictures. That one was, I think, from Italy. This is the picture of Mary sent from the US. It's in 3D. It's the only one with a description of what you're looking at. And it shows you the woman clothed with the sun. It's the prototype for Mary in the church. Mary is the expression in multifaceted splendor that the grandeur of God will flame out like lightning from shook foil. So anyway, that's the one from the US. You can see that front section over here, and this is just a Jerusalem cross and more pictures over on the side. Somebody have a comment?
I just wanted to say I have to leave. I'm sorry. Thank you and goodbye.
We're almost done. So you got
Thank you.
99% of it, Judy. Thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you.
Good to see you, Judy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Judy.
Bye.
This is coming out the side of the church. We came in from the front over here. Now we're coming out the side. We walk around down this ramp here and back out to the front, and we see this labyrinth with Mary in the middle of it. Very nice. And here's one of the last things we're looking at. Just up the street from this house of Mary is a synagogue. And they think this could have been one that Jesus would have attended as a child. So it's inside this door here. And here's a little plaque telling you that this is the synagogue church. According to tradition, This is where Jesus preached and stood on this spot where he came back down from the Sea of Galilee to preach, and they were excited to have him come down, hoping that he would heal people and teach them. And he opened up the scroll and it said, this is the one where he said, in this day, today, this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing, claiming that he was God. And that really kind of got them angry, and they grabbed him and took him to a cliff, and they were going to throw him off, and he slipped away from the crowd. This is inside the
Are
small
the three
little-
languages,
What?
well, are the three languages Hebrew, Arabic, and English?
That looks like Hebrew, and that
Yeah.
looks like Arabic, and that looks like
Yeah.
English.
I'm surprised that they have Arabic.
This is inside the small little synagogue. There's Harada up front teaching us, and we were sitting on benches along the walls. You'll see what it looks like as we're leaving. See, they're just benches along the side here. Not very big, but they think this might have been Jesus' church. And that evening after dinner, we flew back out of Israel back to New York. And this is looking over Tel Aviv as we fly out. So I just want to say 3 quick little pictures, because this is Holy Week. This is a picture looking down the path that Jesus took on Palm Sunday. This is the Garden of Gethsemane, where on Thursday night, Jesus went and prayed and was arrested. And we know that on Friday, up on Golgotha, he was crucified. And I wanted to end with that rather than his childhood, because we're in Holy Week and we've seen all of his life, but I wanted to end with pictures of Holy Week. And that's our
Perfect.
trip to Israel.
That was a great,
Wow.
great study. Visual. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
it's been really fun having you along for the ride and getting to relive all these different scenes.
See, I do
Very
this
moving for us.
when I go on vacation and I talk to my clients every half hour. I'm showing them all my pictures. So you did this for 4 weeks.
I
It's
just want
fun.
to say one thing to Barbara. I'm still looking for my stuff about Masada. I haven't forgotten.
Okay.
If anybody, we talked about the Dove Keeper. Remember we read the Dove Keepers?
Oh, they were talking about that last week.
Right, I
Yeah.
saw it written someplace. I do have a copy of it if anybody wants to borrow it.
Sure.
Very good.
Well,
Thank you,
thank you.
everybody.
Just one
Jeff.
question.
Thank you, Kay.
One question you said, Joanne?
This is a stupid one, but how did you get from Jerusalem to Nazareth? Did you go through the West Bank?
You're
You're
muffled
all
again.
muffled again.
She asked if you went through the West Bank between
To-
Jerusalem and Nazareth.
to, Nazareth. You went around.
We didn't. We stayed on the Israel side and just went up and down the highway.
Yeah.
And we looked very American, so they really didn't hassle us. I think they're a little more worried about Palestinians and shootings and bombings and things like that.
You just was a typical tourist.
That's right. That there was safety in being just American tourists.
Yes.
Yeah, don't bother the guy with the camera. We're good.
That's right.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy
everybody.
Easter.
Everyone, I miss everybody.
Bring it back
See you all
to
again
everyone.
soon.
Thank
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you,
Hope to see
Kay.
you Thursday night.
Bye.
Yes.
Yep.
Good
In
night.
theory, you'll see me Thursday.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.